Good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, March 18th. This is very weird. I'm coming to you from my house, and my goal here during this school shutdown for the next 3 weeks is to post a couple videos every day, just informing you of what all the expectations are for you as you get your work done during this break at home. Today, hopefully, a parent was able to go to the school. The school is going to be open from noon to 6 today for a parent to come up and pick up all your work for the time that we are not going to be in school. The first thing I want to do is just kind of introduce you to kind of the schedule that I put for you guys. In the packet that you got for ELA and for math that Mrs. Dyer did and worked really hard on, there should be schedules for each class. You should have a schedule for ELA, you should have a schedule for social studies, for math, and for science. On that schedule, it kind of lists like the plan for every day. That way you're not too overwhelmed. I'm sure when you get the baggie with all of your stuff, it's going to look like a lot. And you know, it is a lot because it's 3 weeks worth of work, okay? But if you follow the schedule, I think it's a very manageable amount of work for you to get done every single day. Today I just want to kind of go over some kind of the plan for my classes. Starting with English Language Arts. So for ELA, the next thing that we were going to do in class was read the novel The Watsons Go to Birmingham. So that's actually what we're going to do. All of the assignments for ELA are going to be related to that book. Like I mentioned in the packet, there are several ways you can access that book. Some of you may have received a hard copy when you got your work from school. If you do have internet access, you can go to Google Classroom. I did provide a link in Google Classroom to a text of the book. You can definitely read the book there. If for whatever reason you're having a hard time with that, you can also just go to a Google search, type in The Watsons Go to Birmingham, and then put PDF afterwards. And when you search, the first option that you can click on at the very top of the screen should be a PDF that lists the entire text. That might actually be easier than you trying to copy letter for letter the entire web address because it's long and it's just very random. So you should be able to access the book that way. And what we're going to do with The Watsons Go to Birmingham, it's going to be in 2-day chunks. So we're going to use 2 days for each chapter. So we're going to start with chapter 1 today, Wednesday, and it'll take 2 days to get through the assignments for chapter 1. The first day of each chapter, you'll start off with some vocabulary, and that should be a hard copy sheet that is in your packet. On that sheet, there are 3 words from the chapter. What I want you to do is there's going to be a sentence. Most of them are from the chapter with that word in it. And then what you're going to do is read those sentences, try to find some context clues in those sentences to try to help you determine what you think the word means. So you'll put your definition on the line where it says your definition, what you think it means. Again, I don't expect this to necessarily be right. It's just you trying your best with the clues that you have to figure out what it means. I don't really care if it's right or wrong. What I do care about, though, is that you're trying to figure it out on your own, not necessarily looking for the actual definition yet. Once you fill that out, the top blank says context clues. I want you to, if you can find any context clues in that sentence that helps you try to figure out what that word means, I want you to write them on that line, okay? Then lastly, there's a line that says actual definition. On that line, I want you to use a dictionary to look up what the word actually means. I don't care what kind of dictionary you use. It could be hard copy. You can look it up online. Doesn't really matter to me as long as you put an actual definition there. So there should be 3 words for each chapter that I want you to do first of all. The next thing that I'd like you to do is to actually read each chapter. Now, you know, most of these chapters are between 10, 15 pages, so they're fairly long. So you have some options there. If you want to, you can read that on your own, and that might be how you want to approach it. However, if some of you are reading it and maybe you're just having a hard time understanding it reading on your own, I am going to try to include some videos of me reading the chapter to you and posting those on Google Classroom. So if that helps you out and you want to take the book and kind of read it as I am reading it myself and following along, that's perfectly okay. If you'd rather have a parent or somebody else in your family read it to you along with you, that's fine too. I don't really care as long as it gets read. Once you're finished reading the chapter, the next thing, and this is on the back of the vocabulary sheet, so it's front and back, there is a summary sheet, I want you to do. So on there's going to be 6 blanks. One that says who, what, when, where, why, and then there's also one that says other important information. On those blanks, I just want you to record, details about the chapter that you think will help you summarize the most important things that happen in the chapter. Then underneath that, there's a couple blanks for a summary. For the summary, I'd like you to write 3 to 5 sentences, just summarizing the chapter, just really trying to help you guys remember what you read, okay? They should include complete sentences. That means there should be a capital letter with the first word, there should be punctuation at the end, and they should have a complete thought, okay? That's the same as it's been all year. I'll expect complete sentences there. And that'll be the first day of every single chapter. So on the first day, you'll have a vocabulary sheet, you'll read the chapter, and then you'll write a summary about it. Then, on the second day, so in this case, it would be Thursday on your calendar, there will be 2 things to do. First thing that you will do, I'm trying to remember here, there's a table where you're going to record other important details. So on the table, the first blank should be characters, then there's one for setting, then there's one that says summary, and then there's one that says prediction for the next chapter. This is something similar to what we did when we read Among the Hidden earlier on in the year, and during class we would talk about the chapter, and we would try to think of important things that we should remember to help us understand going forward in the book. So in those blanks next to character and setting, I want you to just include anything that you think was important that you learned during the last chapter that you read. So in this case, on Thursday, what were some things that you learned about the characters in chapter 1? Could be any character in the chapter. What are some things you learned about the setting? And so forth. Then the next blank says summary. Well, you already did a summary yesterday. So on that blank, it should be crossed out. You do not need to do that. Then at the bottom, there's a blank for prediction for the next chapter. What I would do, if I were you, is I would go ahead and look at the title of the next chapter, and then down there just make any kind of a prediction that you think might happen when we read the next chapter. It doesn't have to be right, I just want you thinking about it, okay? Then on day 2, on the back side of that paper, you should see 3 questions with blanks underneath them. So the first 2 are comprehension questions. They're pretty much basically questions about the chapter, did you understand what you were reading? Those don't need to be super long responses. However, I would like them to be complete sentences. Then at the bottom, there is kind of an analysis question where I kind of want you to think about what you read. And then I also want you to go back and look at the chapter and find some evidence from the chapter to support whatever your answer is. Again, for these questions, there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer. All I care about is whatever you think the answer is, or whatever the claim you make, you should try to support that with some details from the chapter. Okay, that's all that matters to me. All right, I don't care what you say, how you answer the question. What I do care about, though, is do you back it up with evidence that happened in the chapter. So it's going to be one of those per chapter. You should have a clear claim. Like I said earlier, you should have evidence from the story backing it up. I would like you to cite that evidence. So what page did you find that evidence on? And then also explain the evidence. Why does that evidence that you chose back up what your claim is? And then lastly, have just kind of a conclusion sentence at the end. So for the bottom question on the second day for each chapter, that's kind of what I want you to do. Okay? And that's going to be ELA. The whole time it's just going to be in 2-day chunks. You'll do the vocabulary, you'll read, and you'll write the summary the first day. Then the next day, you'll fill out the table with details from the chapter that you read, and then you'll answer those 3 questions. It's going to kind of continue like that on and on and on. Okay? Hopefully that makes it easy for you. Hopefully you get used to the organization of it, and it's just, you catch on really quick. For social studies, it's a little different. I know, during the school year, we haven't had social studies every single day, so I didn't give you stuff to do every single day. However, one thing that I thought would be really cool is for you to do a diary or a journal of this time period. Earlier on in the year, we talked about what a primary source was. And a primary source is some type of information from someone who was personally involved in whatever historical event is being talked about. Well, right now, you all are personally involved in this coronavirus threat that's overtaking our nation. So you are all technically primary sources. So what I want you to do is every day, write, I don't care how much you write, could be a paragraph, could be longer, whatever you feel like. I just want you to do like a journal diary entry every single day of what you did during that day. And then, down the line, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, that's something you could maybe share with your loved ones at that time, maybe some children or grandchildren, and you could say, oh, in that history book that you guys were reading about, well, I actually lived through that, and this is what it was like. So I think that would be pretty cool. So for each day, every single day for social studies, I want you to write at least a paragraph, kind of a diary or journal entry of what the day was like, what maybe you did on that day. Maybe there's something on the news that you heard about that has changed things. I just want you to kind of write what your experience has been like during this time. Okay? On Thursday, there's this assignment will be optional. I'm not requiring that you do it, but I think it would also be something kind of cool. I did include with the packet a larger piece of paper. I think it's 11 by 17 or 8 by 17. I'm not sure what size it is. But what I think would be really cool is if you did a multi-tiered timeline about this whole coronavirus event. We did one earlier on in the year where you, on one side, had to write about events from your life compared to events that were going on either in the United States or in the world at those same times. So if you remember that, this is the exact same thing, except we're just going to have a little bit different topic. So what I'd like you to do on this multi-tiered timeline is on one end, either the top or the bottom, I want you to write various events that have happened related to the coronavirus. I did include an example in your packet with a few that I did just to kind of show you and remind you what it was like. So you can look at that as an example. But one side, I want you to write any events that have happened that were important dealing with the coronavirus. Then on the opposite end, I want you to do that with either Ohio or I kind of messed this up. What I want you to do, the whole thing should be related to the coronavirus. The whole thing should be related to the coronavirus. On one, either the top or the bottom, it should be either the world, what's some events that are going on in the world outside of the United States, or just the United States in general. What are some things that are going on in various states or whatever throughout the United States? Then on the other one, I want you to do something different. So if you did the world for one, you could do the United States for the other. If you did the United States for one, you could do Ohio for the other. Just kind of showing the contrast between things that are going on in one place versus the other. Okay, so that was the goal that I was trying to get at. And I'm sorry that I kind of confused you there with that first part. So that's an optional assignment. You don't have to do it, but I think it'd be pretty cool if you did. Lastly, for social studies, there are 3 reading passages that I included in your packet. One of them you're supposed to do on Friday. The other 2 you're supposed to do next week on Tuesday and Thursday. So the goal there is it's kind of continuing on based on what we left off with in social studies with the Greeks. Each one of those passages has a little bit different thing about the Greeks, and some of it we honestly already talked about in class, but it might be a little bit of a review, but that's fine. So there's a passage, 3 different passages, and on the back of the passage there are 3 kind of comprehension questions that go with the passage. So I'd like you to answer those. So I don't think that's too much as far as social studies is concerned. So there's going to be 3 passages. On the back side, there will be 3 questions related to the passage. On the reading passage, there is a little box on there that talks about some note-taking strategies that you can use while you read it. I think that'd be cool if you did those note-taking strategies, but I'm not going to require that you highlight stuff or underline anything or whatever. But if that's something you want to do, that's great, and it probably will help you understand what you're reading. Okay, so that's kind of what's going to be going on with class. So just to recap, in your packet, you should have had kind of an introductory letter that kind of just gives information about myself and Mrs. Dyer and how you can reach us, and just a couple other things that you can do to help you out with this time that we're going to be away from school. I will try to check my email often throughout the day on Monday through Friday. I probably will, even on the weekends, some too. So if you have a question, feel free to email me. There's also instructions there to use the Remind app. It's not something that I've had the whole year. I just created it in response to this. You can also utilize that. I probably will make some announcements on there as well, and you can always send me a message through that if you have a question too. Um, but I think I pretty much covered everything. Everything should be in the packet. I guess I did also include a checklist that you might use just to like make sure you're staying on track with everything, and you can check off all the assignments you have done and whatnot. Um, you know, I hope things are going well for everybody. I know this is not really a normal situation. Do your best. That's my goal. I've told you that several times throughout the year. To do your absolute best all the time. That's all you can do. So do your best with everything. And if you have any questions, feel free to kind of let me know. Another thing, get outside a little bit. Don't just sit inside all day. Go for a walk. Play with the ball outside. Uh, it's going to be really tough if you try to stay inside all day and whatnot. So try to stay healthy, and hopefully I'll get to see you in a couple weeks. I don't really know what's going to happen with that, but I'll try to post a couple videos every day and to just kind of keep everybody updated. To end here, I just hope everybody's doing good. Hope you're all staying healthy, and I'll probably have another video tomorrow. So see you then. Bye.